Point on NNTV. This is a program that gives you information affecting the youth and the general society. Today we'll be talking about social media and how it affects the youths of today. And we have our guest in studio. Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today.
The pleasure is all mine.
Would you please tell the audience who you are and what exactly you do?
All right. My name is Sami Thuku. I am the operations manager, NIBS Technical College, and that's where I work every day. And I am grateful to God.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Yes.
And first of all, I think a lot of people would want to know, what exactly does the operations manager do?
As the job title reads, operations,
Yeah.
it actually involves the normal day-to-day running of an institution. And you know, an institution like NIBS Technical College, we have so much running from morning to evening. That is from Monday or from January to December.
Yes.
And for this institution to run, of course, the operations has to be effective, from matters ranging collection of fees, transport, maintenance, security, everything. So it involves around so much. So that's what I do. I coordinate activities, ensure that the day-to-day running of an institution is taking place.
All right.
Yes.
And in your position,
Yes.
how often do you interact with the students from the institution?
Quite often, I would say I have a lot of interaction with students. Now that I also am in charge of discipline, and I'm also in charge of fee collection. And these are areas where students have an interest, or rather, these are areas where you must interact with students. Not to mention that I also go to class, I teach, and at that point also I interact with students a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, in your interactions, some may be negative and others positive, right?
Yes.
So how exactly do you deal with these negative interactions but still maintain a relationship good enough to be able to talk to those same students?
Right, I would say sometimes you have some negative interaction with students, but basically most of the times this is because of negative attitude. Probably the students fail to understand you from where you're coming from as a worker, and sometimes trying to enforce some rules and regulations. And you know, a community like this one, it is characterized with boundaries that are put in rules and regulations where students must abide, and sometimes enforcing becomes a big challenge, where students sometimes do not understand that these are rules that are meant to create harmonious coexistence among students. And those are the only areas where you have negative interactions, but we try as much as possible to make students understand that it is not punitive to advise a student or to counsel a student or to direct a student on what to do. It's not punitive. It's actually just a way of telling them, this you may be right with you from where you come from, you may be practicing this from where you come from, but as much as we are staying together in this community, we must have some standard, we must have some way of interacting, some point of connection, which you must provide a platform where everybody feels they are comfortable, so that what is comfortable to you and is not comfortable to the other person, you must balance there. And of course, you know, people have their own rights, and of course your rights ends where mine begins. So striking that balance becomes quite a challenge, but we are trying as much as possible. And I would like also to say that our focus has changed. We are focusing on the student satisfaction, ensuring that our students, and because they are our clients, they are our bosses, ensuring that they are satisfied in every office they go. So when they come to my office, and to those office that reports to me, I ensure that that information about customer satisfaction is passed. That's why we have come up with students charter, or rather service delivery charter, where students are aware of what do they expect from us. Say for example, the services that the students require from us, are they offered within the specified time? Are we efficient in our processes and procedures, so that by the end of the day the student is satisfied? And that is what we are doing to ensure that we have minimal negative interactions with our students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now as we get into the topic of the day.
Yeah.
We understand that institutions such as yours use social media a lot.
Sure.
Exactly in which ways does your institution use social media?
Of course, you know that the world has changed. We are actually in the 21st century, where information technology has evolved. In fact, the last 20 years, the information and passing of information from one person to the other has really changed. Yeah, I remember, my grandparents did not have phones, or even my parents never knew how to use phones. But today, a phone has become actually a fundamental aspect of our lives. You cannot survive these days without exchanging information.
Right.
And much of where we interact with social media is of course through our phones, because I know that every other young person, especially those who are schooling here, almost all of them have a phone. And if I would like to pass an information either to them or to their parents, I must use social media.
Yeah.
And 80% of the young people, whether in Nairobi or let's say across the world, 80% of the young people, those who are at the age of 25 and below, right now they have access to information. They have access to social media, whether Facebook, whether WhatsApp, media platforms where they can be able to get information. And it's an area where, as an institution, we have explored and we have seen that it works. And if we have to empower the young people we have, if we have to pass knowledge to the young people we have, to give the skills and competencies, because that's our core value, we have again to use social media in a positive way. So we have Twitter handles, we have WhatsApp groups, we have Facebook accounts where we interact with people from time to time.
All right. And with the interaction of young individuals and social media,
Yes.
how do you think the relationship between youth and social media is? Is it a good relationship? Is it bad? Or does it still need to be, does it still require establishing, considering that it's still a very murky area?
I would say, we Africans, especially in Kenya, we are in a third world country where, young people do not have the proper orientation of how to interact and to use social media. So we are actually misusing most of the cases we find ourselves misusing social platforms that we have. And you realize when you do not know the use of a thing, more often than not, you will find that you will abuse that thing. As much as we would like to encourage social media, we would also want to point out on the need to be careful on what you do on social media, what you say on social media, how you interact with people on social media, so that it does not result to negative effects and can also bring positive effects to young people. And I would say young people have embraced social media, and only that to some extent it has led to some negative effects where we have seen cyberbullying, we have seen people getting into depression, we have seen people getting into stress, probably because you have made social media your alpha and omega. When you wake up in the morning, you're on social media. During the day, you're on social media. Even as late as past midnight, you are still on social media chatting and, you know, engaging in spending all your life on social media. What I would like to tell the young people is that there is a lot in life that is beyond social media. There is a lot in this life that you need to do. You need to develop a career, grow your career, invest in that career, and social media is a plus. And we cannot separate the young people from social media because it's also a way of exchanging information from one person to the other.
All right.
Yeah.
And how is your institution assisting young people to develop that good relationship with social media?
Yeah, we encourage people to use social media. For example, if you look at our procedures and processes, we have discouraged students from queuing into various offices that we have. Say, for example, offices of interest, like the accounts, where we have credit collection, like the exams, where students will go look for marks or look for progress reports. We have encouraged students to also use social media. We have a portal, a students portal online, where students can log in with their admission numbers and put up a password. And through that portal, students are able to access all their information in school. Say, for example, what is your statement of account, what is your progress report. See, that one you are getting at the comfort of your room, wherever you are. You only need to have internet and a good phone that is Android, and you'll be able to access all this information. It's a way of encouraging students that apart from the negative use of social media, apart from just sitting the whole day and chatting, there is positive use of social media. We have also established e-learning, where you can be able to access library materials or at the comfort of your room or wherever you are on your phone. Even when traveling, you can still visit our portal, go to e-learning, open up, and you're able to read from there and do your studies. That's a positive use of social media. Just to discourage, the obvious thing we know about, chatting, doing all those kind of things, which are not bad per se, but you cannot spend your whole life, chatting.
And in terms of social media and academics, do you think it's helping in any way, or do you think it's causing more harm or damage?
To a big extent it is helping, where students are now able to access information. Information technology is about getting information. We have people who are informed. These days, you cannot get stuck. They say if you are stuck, ask Google. You just need to Google. Even if you Google your name, somehow you'll still find yourself there. Whether as long as you have ever used social media, you still find your name there. And we have seen positive input of social media to our students, if I may say, because when they access these platforms, they're able to learn. We have provided free Wi-Fi, in the campus, and this is to encourage students not only to chat, but also to ensure that Wi-Fi that is provided by the institution, you are using it for learning. You are using it to get materials where you can get more information, get more skills, get information that will spice up your career. But now the problem is that young people, instead of doing that, you'll find them on funny sites. They are doing this and this and this, which is normal. It's a normal occurrence. You may not have control, but young people need to know that this thing, even though it is for free, it is not to be abused or misused. The same people you find, they go to a hotel and the first thing they ask is, "Mko na Wi-Fi? Can you give me password?" And then the next thing they're on Facebook. Not that they are doing anything meaningful. However, for us as an institution, we encourage, that's why we have provided free Wi-Fi, so that students can use the social media on their phone, for positive gains. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just as a last word
Yes.
to the young individuals out there, social media is big and it's the future of any and every country.
Exactly.
How would you advise young people to use social media and to go forward in assisting the younger generation in the use of social media?
I would say social media should be embraced. It should not be looked from the negative aspect. Of course, anything that brings some positive gains has some negative gains. And I would like to encourage the young people, let's make use of the positive gains that we get from social media. Changing of information from one person to the other, you can learn these days. Even learning institutions, they are removing students from classes. If you go to higher learning institutions like universities and all that, they are removing students from classes, and they are now telling you we are in 21st century where you can even learn while still at home. You can do your own studies while still at home. You can do your exams while still at home. You only need now to send that assignment to us for marking, and we do correspondence. And that's a positive way of using social media. So we do not want to limit ourselves looking at the social media in terms of the Facebooking, in terms of the WhatsApp, in terms of those little things that we get access to. But also look at the broader perspective. Why do we have this information available for us? How can we use this information that is there online? How can we use it to benefit us and to grow our intellectual capacity, to grow our academic excellence, and make us refined people? If you go to those first world countries, I know, I have done my research. You'll find that those people, though they have internet everywhere, very few of them you'll hear that they are misusing. But where we have the problems of cyberbullying is actually in Africa. Where we have problems of suicidal thoughts because of social media is actually in Africa. Where you have thoughts of depression and stress, isolation and loneliness is only in Africa, because you have used social media in the wrong way, and at the end of the day, you find that without social media, you are suffering from loneliness. And you also find that it has very negative effects on your social, on your social aspect, where you find now you don't interact with people face to face, one-on-one. So you find everybody is limited to their phone. They are talking to so many people, but very lonely. So when those people are not online, you find that you do not have anywhere to go. Let's use social media for positive gains, and we shall grow together. We shall be happy together, and we shall even grow our economy as a country.
Well, thank you so much. That was so educational.
I am grateful. The pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
Well, that's all we had for you today. As you've heard it from our guests, social media can have effects on your mental health and even your social life. My name is Susan Naini, and I hope you have learned as much as I have. I'll see you next time on Hot Point. Goodbye.